Habitat, what we have in front of you is 1.2 million gallons of seawater. Not even a wow for that, you all have 1.2 million. That's more like it. Now we also have a lot of different animals that have adapted to a lifestyle when they're far away from land, far away from rocks and kelp and sand, a world where it really is just you and the big old blue. And to help me tell my story today, I do have a screen on either side of the exhibit window. And what you're looking at right now is what you can see from down here. This is the top of the open sea exhibit. So you can see it really is just like a giant, giant swimming pool. And hanging out upstairs right now, I have one of my really good friends, the man, the myth, the Larry. So we're gonna check in with him. He's gonna give us a play-by-play of all the action happening upstairs. All right, good morning, Larry.
Hey, good morning, Phil. Hi, everybody. Can you hear me down there okay?
Now, folks, if you can hear Larry all right, I need you to wave your hands in the air like you just don't care. All right, Larry cannot see you, which is really fun for me to watch. Thank you. Now, we have confirmed we can hear you just fine. Larry, we're looking tuna window, tuna wall, lots of different shapes and sizes of fish. What is the plan for this morning?
We have a lot of mouths to feed, and we're going to do it by doing two separate feeds. Now, they're both broadcast feeds. That means we throw food in the water just like you would do at your home aquarium. The first feed will be for those big athletic fish. You're going to see some dorado, our yellowfin tuna, and so forth. They get fed first. Then when their tummies are full, we'll switch and feed little tiny fish pellets to the 20,000 sardines down below.
Exactly. Those of you up front, you might already have a little sneak peek of those sardines. Now the sardine feed, it is a little 50-50. We have to try to encourage them to come up. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. It is very tricky. Now I know for a fact, feeding this many fish typically takes 5 aquarists or 1 Teresa. I can see Teresa is behind you right now. I think everyone down here is ready to start getting some food in the water. Are you all good upstairs as well?
We're good to go. What do you want? Should we give her some kind of signal?
I think you should give her the super secret hand signal for let's feed some fish.
Here we go.
All right, Larry, you nailed it. I can see the food has entered the water. I think I might take things over from here, but will you be joining us downstairs to meet your newest fans?
You bet. I'll see you soon.
All right, everyone wave goodbye to Larry. He still can't see you. All right, we'll turn our attention to the top of the exhibit window because clearly the action has started for our big fish. So let me do you a favor. I'm going to point out some big fish for you. There's one. There's one. All right, I'm even going to tell you the names of these fish. That's how nice I am. Now, the most active fish you're seeing right now are going to be those long, slender fish up at the surface. Those are our dolphin fish. They get that name because they have big, round foreheads, much like the mammal, a dolphin. And they also like to spend a lot of time up at the surface of the water, like a dolphin as well. But that is a fish of many names. You might have heard Larry use their other name of dorado, meaning golden one. And if you watch at peak levels of excitement, especially watch the little ones, you can see some of the smaller ones even right now, they can actually change the color of their skin from the silvery coloration you're seeing on a lot of them to bright blue, bright green, and even bright gold, hence that name dorado. Now I did mention many names. They do have a third name they go by that many of you might be familiar with if you've ever met one of those fish on your dinner plate. They also go by the third name of mahi-mahi. All right, sounds like we have some seafood fans out there. Yes, it turns out people really don't like ordering dolphin at the restaurants. So instead they use the Polynesian name mahi-mahi, meaning strong, strong. Now we also do have these kind of football torpedo-shaped fish kind of hanging out in the middle. We have a couple different tuna here. So if you look at the largest, kind of roundest of those football-shaped fish, those are going to be our yellowfin tuna, or ahi tuna in the restaurants. But we also have these kind of slightly deflated football fish, kind of the Tom Brady footballs in there. Those are going to be two different. We have our black skipjacks as well as our bonito. And you're going to notice those, they all have black stripes on the side right there as well. And those are going to be some very impressive predators, mostly hanging around the middle of the window. But I'm willing to bet a lot of you probably also recognize what we're feeding our big fish right now. Yell it out if you recognize that food. Squid, very nice. That is California market squid. I've gathered we have some seafood fans. We have any calamari fans out there today? All right, so here is the quiz for all of you. Who knows the difference between California market squid and calamari? It's about $6 a pound. You got it right there. Yeah, it turns out if you bread it and fry it and serve it to a human, it's calamari. It's fine, exquisite seafood dining. If you broadcast feed it to a bunch of tuna and dolphin fish, then regular old market squid. But it is that same restaurant quality, sustainable seafood that we're serving to our big fish right now that you would find in any of those restaurants along Monterey Road. Now folks, I am a little curious because I did hear quite a few oohs and ahs when I said mahi-mahi, ahi tuna, calamari. A little curious, where are all my seafood fans? Shame on all of you, this is an aquarium. No, I'm just kidding. Here at the aquarium, we believe you can have your fish and eat them too. Please do not run away. This is not the point of my talk when I ask you to stop eating seafood. In fact, I want you to keep enjoying seafood. I want your children to enjoy seafood. I want your children's children to hang out on their hoverboards with their iPhone 92s saying things like, I love tuna, yellowfin tuna is my favorite. But unfortunately, some types of fish are being taken out of the ocean too fast to repopulate, and some fishing methods can be harmful for those ocean ecosystems, and it's you, it's my seafood fans that have all the power to help them out. And the aquarium's made it very easy for you with our Seafood Watch program. We have actually done all the homework for you. We've set it up like a stoplight with our Seafood Watch program. Now, green means go. Please enjoy those seafoods, and most importantly, please support those fishermen that are trying to do the right thing and think long-term about our ocean. Now, the yellow list, you're going to need moderation. Lastly, red, you want to avoid until those populations are doing a little bit better back out in the wild. Now, I do see a lot of smartphones out there. We also have a free app. You could use our free Wi-Fi. That'll help you make those well-informed decisions as well when it comes to purchasing your seafood. Now folks, we'll turn our attention back to the feeding right now. You might have noticed we have switched over from our calamari appetizer to some chopped up bait fish. Now when I say bait fish, that's like sardines, anchovies, things like that. But you might have also heard Larry mention, in just a little bit, we are hoping to invite 20,000 sardines up in front of the window. Which leads us to the number one question we get all throughout this aquarium, and that is, why don't those big fish eat those little fish? Now there's a couple different reasons for this, but the first one's going to be, there's an old saying that a fat cat won't hunt, a well-fed fish won't eat its roommate. So it is on purpose we're offering them this nice, never-ending buffet, getting in that kind of after Thanksgiving mode with the thought of one more bite of food is just not going to be worth your time. But also, there's a little factor of laziness here as well. Now, you imagine they either have the option to chase this swirling blob of sardines around or have one that's already prepared for them and chopped up. Kind of makes sense, you go for the easier meal. For me, I like to think of it like for all of you, if you went to a restaurant and you had two options, either nice chicken dinner, or you could run in the backyard and chase the chicken around, you're probably going to use the chicken dinner. So we kind of use that same exact method here, feed them well, and hopefully there won't be any issues with the roommates. Now, just a little bit ago, I did see some people pointing, I'm assuming it might have been at one of our two pelagic stingrays that we have in exhibit. You might notice they are not all that interested in this feeding. They're fed in a little bit of a special way. And luckily, because that's usually out of your view, I'll show you a quick video of what a ray feeding is. We actually asked the rays to come to us. We put a red X in the water, that's their target. Once they see that, they're so polite, they actually flip onto their back so we can hand feed them little bits of fish. They even turn their body to a little pelagic ray taco to ensure all that food makes it safely into their mouth. So if you're noticing any animals that are not actively participating in the feeding, do not worry, all the animals are fed. Some of them are just slightly different methods and slightly different styles. Now we'll turn our attention, it does look like our feeding is starting to slow down for the big fish, which means Teresa, the finest sardine summoner on this side of the Mississippi, is going to start, look at that timing, nice job Teresa, she is going to start sprinkling in some fish pellets up at the top. You might have seen those little pellets entering. Now this is kind of make or break time right now, folks. We're gonna have these fish pellets working their way down. Hopefully, one of those sardines is gonna notice those fish pellets are in the water and tell all of its friends to come up in front of the window. Now I like to compare this to me and the smell of bacon in the morning. It might take me a moment, but if I know it's around, I come running. So we'll see if it works and if we can summon this sardines. A lot of you might notice, if you're up in the front, we are getting a lot of sardine activity right there, which means they are most definitely awake. So we're gonna see if we can summon them today. Like I said, it's a little bit of a hit or miss kind of thing. Oh, there's a peep of it right there. Now folks, every time I say 20,000 sardines, I always get a couple funny looks from guests in the audience like, well, how do you know it's 20,000? We have a college intern that comes in every single morning and counts our sardines for us. So that's the number we're gonna stick with until I hear otherwise right here. Now you might also be asking yourself, you know, we see these sardines kind of yo-yoing, kind of coming up, coming down, coming up, coming down. Who is in charge of a school? Now it's kind of a really cool thing because with the school of sardines, anchovies, any kind of schooling fish, at this very moment, everybody and nobody is in charge. Now you would think that would be absolute chaos. I can tell you right now, if we had 20,000 humans and everyone and no one was in charge, trying not to get eaten, it'd be absolute chaos. Imagine like a Godzilla movie or something like that. When sardines do it, it's absolutely beautiful. And all they're doing is following two very basic rules. Rule number one, stick with your buddy. Rule number two, just keep swimming. And by following those two rules, you see this kind of nice swirling blob, which is a really good defense mechanism out in the wild and in this exhibit as well. Now one of the questions we do get pretty often is, how do these sardines communicate? How do they know when to move left, when to move right? They're actually very sensitive to vibrations in the water. They actually have special cells kind of right in their head that feel those vibrations. So if the one next to them moves left, we're getting a little stirring. They're thinking about it. The sardine tornado in. All right, so we'll keep seeing if they're going to come up for you. They're really toying with you right now. But that, as you can imagine, is what happens when everyone and no one's in charge. You have to have majority rules, all of them deciding to come up all at once at the very same moment. Now folks, we're going to try one more thing that might work. Now, as I mentioned, they're very sensitive to vibrations. So they're going to feel any kind of movement in the water. Uh-oh, maybe it's happening. They're thinking about it. All right, folks, there's your sardine tornado. I knew if I talked long enough, they would eventually come up. So as I mentioned, folks, what you're watching right now, this is their defense mechanism. Out in the wild, in this exhibit, they know they're not the biggest. They know they're not the fastest, so they use the power of numbers. Essentially, they hang out next to 19,999 of their bestest friends in the whole wide world and say, well, I hope Steve gets eaten today and not me. And all around, it is a pretty good strategy. A lot of people say, well, that doesn't make sense. You just make one giant target. All of these fish, as athletic as they are, these dolphin fish, these tuna, they are still fish with fish brains. And they need to pick one single sardine, which is very tough to do with this big swirling blob. If we have anyone that is still skeptical about this, let's do a quick science experiment. I want you to pretend you're a hungry dolphin fish, and you wanted to eat one of those sardines. I want you to pick one single sardine and try to follow it for 10 seconds. Are you ready? Go. All right, raise your hand if you're still following the same sardine. Get some hands. Okay, look at me real quick. Now point to your sardine. All right, as you can see, this schooling behavior is a great strategy in the wild on exhibit. So children, if you have ever wondered why your parents keep saying, stay in school, a couple different reasons. One of them is so you don't get eaten by a giant mahi-mahi. So, a wonderful take-home lesson from the aquarium. Now folks, our sardines are going to continue working their way back and forth, enjoying their meal. I know we didn't get a chance to highlight every single animal in detail, but luckily it looks like real live celebrity from the TV. Larry has joined me down here. There we go. Look at that, round of applause for Larry. Now, if you do have any questions, or my seafood fans, if you want to pick up a seafood watch guide, Larry and I will be hanging out to the side of the exhibit. Everyone else, thank you so much for watching, and enjoy the rest of your day at the Monterey Bay Aquarium.